welcome you guys to the 423 What's the 423 podcast. It's Sean Nitch becoming the host, of course, and I got my girl, Miss Anna Golladay. I am so glad to have you on, dear. Welcome.
Excited. I'm so excited. We have so much to talk about.
We do. First of all, because I love following you on Facebook and Instagram because I live through you vicariously. Uh, and I love what you do with your creations and helping people move from one place to the next with their entrepreneurship. So tell us, how did you get into this space?
Oh man, it has been a long and winding journey. I know that my skin doesn't look like it, but I'm almost 52 years old, and
Clock it, clock it.
but I am the daughter of an entrepreneur, the granddaughter of an entrepreneur. My grandfather started a family business in the 1940s, and I watched him and then my father kind of labor and toil over being entrepreneurs and being family business people for the majority of my life. They were in the building supply business, and in the early 90s, the Lowe's and the Home Depots of the world came to kind of started popping up all over the country. And my family, my dad found himself in a place where reinvention was necessary. The business wasn't going to survive. He was in his 50s and knew nothing else other than being a businessman from my grandfather. And I watched this person who I, at the time, really didn't know if he could do the miraculous and shut the business down in a real kind of integrity filled way, and then get his real estate license. And he's almost 80 years old, and he's still going into the office every day.
Okay, Pop, clock it.
This has been a kind of a part of my world for a really long time. And I always knew, as a creative, my undergrad is in graphic design, and a master's in marketing, and a master's in theology. I always knew that being creative was something I wanted to do for myself, not just for someone else. And so, about 15 years ago, I started my my apparel company. And I've got an apparel company that folks in Chattanooga they'll see me pop up the market. I'm at the Chattanooga market a lot. The name of my company is Bias and Bourbon.
Bias and Bourbon. I love some bourbon.
I love bourbon, my two favorite things. But all of our apparel is very kind of attitude centric, speak your mind, like wear your politics and wear your activism on your chest apparel. And that's my outlet. And as I started to really kind of understand the movement of my own entrepreneurship, I started to recognize the gaps in entrepreneurship opportunities for others. I'm a white woman. I have no problem going into a bank, getting a small business loan, starting my own thing, doing what I want, just simply based on the privilege that my skin color brings me.
I'm so glad that she said this, y'all. Okay, let's clock these real T's, and these are real T's that are being clocked.
They are, and I really so it became really important to me, especially over the last 10 years, to do whatever I could to facilitate entrepreneurship opportunities for minority and historically marginalized communities, whether that's queer folks who are afraid to kind of step out into themselves because they don't know if the business is going to come because of them being exactly who they are, or whether it's black and brown folks who just simply don't, in most cases, may not have an uncle or a grandparent or a parent who can spot them in my brand to build a website and invest in inventory and get their small business license and their insurance going. Those are real things.
Those are.
And I have acknowledged that gap, and I've really tried to step into it and use the knowledge that I have, more than that, the privilege that I have, to connect people and try to just be an advocate for the way in which our city and spaces like the CoLab and the Chamber of Commerce really need to be more about small business and entrepreneurship doesn't look like them versus entrepreneurship that Chattanooga has historically embraced, which is um, big business, tech business, manufacturing business that is predominantly and historically dominant.
Okay, y'all. She clocking some real T's just on the intro, y'all, and I'm living for it. Okay, so you mentioned a lot of things in your little intro, and I live for it. It's so many things. So, okay, you talked about, what the city can do and what the city should be doing. Now, I first really encountered you during your race for city council, and I was in awe of the truth telling that was coming out of your campaign. Tell me about your campaign and where you feel that we can still chart a new way forward.
Ooh, honestly, I'm finally at a point where I can really kind of talk about this. I think from looking backwards instead of being still in the middle of it.
Listen, I've been there.
Yeah, I know you have. And so I was a candidate for District 8 City Council. I had three opponents in a minority majority district. And so I was real talk, I was the white woman on the ballot against three folks of color in a predominantly black and brown district. I already knew going into this kind of what my challenges were going to be. I knew that I couldn't get folks to trust me and believe in the work that I intended to do simply by talking my way into it. I had to show it to them. I had to prove it to them. And in a lot of ways, I've been doing that in Chattanooga for a number of years. But for folks that don't know me, that's all lip service, right?
Right.
And so I wanted to start by saying I'm really, really proud of the race that I ran.
You should be.
I made it to a runoff against the incumbent.
Right.
And
you made her work for it.
made her work for it. And I didn't lose by an embarrassing amount of votes.
No, not at all.
And I think more than anything, I hope that I illustrated that one of the things that I don't want us to get caught up in local politics is the fact that just because folks don't look like you or don't come from where you come from doesn't mean that they're not 100% in your lane and 100% about the work. And so my biggest challenges, and one of the reasons that I ran for office in the first place, is I didn't feel like my council person was responding well to the needs. I didn't feel like she was responding to emails, phone calls. There were folks that were going unanswered. There were needs that were not being heard. The emails were going unread. The phone calls weren't being returned.
And we're talking about Marvin on city council. If you guys want to know who we're talking about, Marvin No, the big wig, that's who we're talking about. Not double dip, not from District 7. We're talking about Marvin, big wig.
And look, I really do respect Marvin.
Okay.
I respect her as an elder in her job. I respect the work that she has done. And also, I didn't feel as if she was the right representation for the district. I didn't feel like she was working hard. I mean, I'll just be real honest about that. And
because she wasn't and she isn't.
I mean, I do think that there are people even now, 2.5 months in post election that are. I mean, I know there are people that are regretting their decision, that are calling me and saying, "I wish I would have listened. You were right. Like, we thought we were going to get something different. We thought we were going to get some, renewed energy around the work for District 8, and we're seeing that the same old is what's presenting itself.
Rubber stamp.
And I want to, Margaret's my council person.
She is.
And I want to.
She's our council person.
I want to be engaged in this work with her. I really do. And I think that we can do good work together.
We can, Marvin.
I just, it's emotions were high in the election, and I get it. Like I try to be real deferential when it comes to acknowledging that I don't know what's going on in the heads of others, and they don't know what's going on in my head. But I have reached out, I have extended the olive branch, I have said, the work continues and I want to be a part of it, and I'm here whenever y'all are ready to work with me.
Al Douglas,
And so,
Marvin Knowles.
yeah,
The olive branch has been extended.
just want to throw the shade.
Just that's it.
And Sean is gonna throw shade and spill tea.
I have to. It's what's the 423.
And so, all that being said, I think that Chattanooga has a lot of opportunity.
It does. It really does.
There are things about Mayor Kelly's administration that I have been highly critical of, and also I think that his vision and his acknowledgement of the things that are broken in the city are fairly dead on. Have we worked hard enough to fix those things? No. But sometimes recognition and acknowledging the brokenness is the biggest start. And I think for a long time, especially during Mayor Burke's administration, we glossed over a lot of the challenges when it came to our unhoused, when it came to housing issues for those that can't afford, that don't make enough money to afford
The basic
live in
necessities.
basic necessities, but also make too much to qualify for vouchers. We glossed over a lot of that stuff, and Kelly is naming the hard things. He is saying out loud the things that need to be said. Now I think it's incumbent on the city council as the legislative branch, the mayor's administration as the branch of government that really has to kind of put their money where their mouth is and do the hard work.
The executive.
To step into the mess and not be afraid to get their shoes stained with the shit of Tennessee that is continuing to permeate the city, and be the kind of people that are willing to clean up the cow shit and walk through the cow shit versus people that are walking around.
So Tim, if you're listening, and I know you are, what she's saying is, if you make no one happy and things get done, then you've made everyone happy at the end of the day. You don't have to kiss Bill's leave behind to get $15 million for the waterfront. Let Hakeem and Bo Watson carry that water for you.
Yeah, and so I think the last few months since the race has been done, I've been really struggling to figure out what work is mine to do now. Because I did begin, and I'm not an elected official.
So you can do.
I can, but I'm also still showing up at city council every Tuesday.
You are.
And I want to be a vocal and a visible presence there. I want folks to, more than anything, I want to know what's going on. I want to know what decisions are being made. I want to be Hamilton in the room where it happens, because those of us that actually are paying attention are the ones that are most poised to help navigate the ship. And that may be an elected office, it may not be, but long term, I think that those that are the least engaged are the ones that bitch the most and have the least qualifications to bitch. Because they don't truly know what's going on, and they don't truly know why and how decisions are being made. And look, there are things that I'm critical of, and then there are also things that I will say to people, like, I understand why that frustrates you, and also let's look at the history here, and let's look at the series of decisions that have been made before this decision to put us in a place where, like, we had to come to this. There's a lot of folks that are really frustrated over the need for us to come up with almost $40 million to fill the gap in the budget to pay our police officers and our firefighters.
Right.
That is a real conversation. And also, one of the biggest reasons that we are having to have that conversation is because the pension for those two groups has gotten so out of control that we are funding the pension of people that don't even work for us anymore in exchange for funding the salaries of those that we want to work for us. And so, how do we renegotiate the pensions so that we are not in a place where we are continuing to pay out promises that we made 30 and 40 years ago. Cities have been renegotiating pensions over and over for the last 15 years.
They have.
Chattanooga has to have that kind of hard conversation. How do we renegotiate it so that pensions aren't eating us alive and so that we really are funding the operations that need to be funded in the city? That's the kind of conversation we have to have. Yeah, bitch all you want that we're $40 million short, but understand how we got here, because it's how we got here, and it's the same as any other systemic issue. You have to understand how we got to racism. You have to understand the plight of the enslaved and the Jim Crow laws, and everything that has gotten us to this systemic challenge in order for us to fix it.
Exactly.
And I feel the same way about city government. And if I'm not going to be the one that's going to be in there investigating and digging into it and actually reading the budget, then I just don't feel like I can speak confidently and with any authority.
Okay. Well, she has all the authority. I can tell you at this point, she has all the authority. She has read that budget from front to back, up and down, the appendix, the footnotes, the end notes.
There were city council people that showed up to the 6-hour budget meeting without a budget in hand.
Oh, name them. Give us the names. Well, no, don't give us names. Give us district numbers. Oh, AIDS.
No laptop, no iPad, no piece of paper to take notes, no copy of the budget. I don't understand how you can have a serious conversation about the budget without having information in front of you.
That's true. That's true.
It frustrates me.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like coming to class unprepared. My kids know that that's a pet peeve of mine. At least bring a pencil. At least let me know you're trying. You want to be here.
Put one leg
Right, like at least you're gonna like walk in. You might not say good morning, but you're here, and I'll take that.
I mean, I'd rather have somebody show up to the meeting with a budget and then be on their phone all the time. But at least I knew that they were supposed to be at the budget meeting.
Exactly. Sometimes you just gotta play the part. You gotta fake it till you make it. And Marvin, I love you to death, but baby, you don't have any enough. You don't have any room for excuses. This isn't new for you. You've been in this rodeo, so it's time for you to put your big girl pants on and do the work. If you don't want to do the work, then resign. It's okay. Have a special election when you get put out of there.
It doesn't have to be me even, Sean. Like yes, I do believe I'm a good person for the job, and I do believe that I would work my ass off. And also, I just want somebody that's going to work well.
Right. We need someone there that's going to speak the hard truths during city council, not just in the public meetings, but also in the legislative work sessions. So moving right along in this great podcast that we're having, because I'm living for the banter. We got to do this more often.
I know. I see a future co-host.
I know, right? Oh, clock it. Listen, so you were in DC for World Pride. Tell us, how was it?
It was amazing. So I work a lot in June because I do my t-shirt business. I make a lot of money in June because I go to a lot of prides. It's a community that I want to support.
Right.
I think the way you first got to know me and know who I was back in 2018 when I got fired from the United Methodist Church.
Yes, and I was livid.
Because they found out I'm a pastor, and they found the church found out that I had done a same gender wedding. I had officiated that wedding, and I got let go. At that point, it was not allowed in the UMC, and the UMC has since changed that.
It has.
Changed that. Policy C. Brown is just coming over there.
Hey, C. Brown, how are you? How are you, sir? You can do it impromptu. Hello.
Recording what's the 423?
And if you guys don't know, we are our official home for the 423. What's the 423 podcast? Is the Etney Building. It is the Innovation Center. This is a great space. He does. And if you haven't been in this facility before, you have to come. You have to come check it out. always go online to see what is going on in the building, what's available, what's free, and how you can change your life here because this is a life changing space. But back to Pride.
So I've been engaged in liberation work with the queer community really since I was in college, 30
Okay.
years. And so Pride is one of the places I feel most alive.
Oh,
I mean, there is.
we are a great group of people. We always the gays know how to have fun.
There's just no pretense. It is the one place. A Pride Festival is the one place where you can show up unapologetically 100% who you are, whether that's in assless chaps or see-through dress or glitter to the hilt,
Yes.
or your bunny ears and tail,
Yes.
your dom costumes. It does not matter.
It
You
doesn't.
show up exactly how you are, unapologetic, and people think you're amazing.
They do. They do.
And there's just something so liberative about that.
It is.
And so I love being there. It was amazing. I was only 2 blocks away from the main stage. So Saturday night, I heard Cynthia Erivo in all her glory concert.
If my husband were here, he would do the end of Wicked, the little.
Sunday night though, I heard Doechii.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh, it was everything. And so I got to be a Pride. I got to make a little money. I got to hear these amazing musicians, but more than that, I just got to be in the midst of a million people who are unapologetically themselves and are just loving life.
Now, how was the temperature? And when I say temperature, I'm talking about the climate in the midst of the orange guy being back in the White House. How is the temperature of the climate in DC?
I actually think people are more motivated than ever. This coming weekend, there's going to be a military parade in the streets of DC for the first time in many, many, many years. We don't have a war or anything, but
Right.
our king wants a military parade, and to honor him.
El Duce.
We, in exchange, are having no kings protests across the country. I can't tell you the number of people that came to Pride and showed up simply to. The parade alone lasted 4 hours. That's how long it was.
That's a long
And
parade.
how many people participated. It was longer than the military parade would be times 3. Now that should tell you something about the power of us.
Yes.
We show up, we show out, we are unafraid. There is an attitude in DC that not on our watch. Like it's not going to happen on our watch. We are not going to allow it. I did not see a lot of protesting. There are always folks on the outskirts of Pride festivals with their megaphones and their signs and
megaphones
doing all their nonsense. But it was largely a boisterous, opinionated, assertive, and really joy-filled environment. And people there, I think in general, do not care what he says. They do not care how he challenges their existence. They know who they are, and they know that they're really willing to fight against the tyranny, and they're going to stand up and they're going to be a part of it.
In the words of Marsha P. Johnson, throw a brick and have a party. So we always love for Pride because Pride started out as a riot. If you guys didn't know, in Stonewall Inn in New York City, started out as a riot. So we should always keep that flame burning in our hearts every day. Every day is Pride, not just during the month of June because I walk in my Pride every day. And since we're talking about Pride and all of that good stuff, what do you think about the Hamilton County Republican Party chair, Gail Green, I think that's her name, putting out her little op-ed, going against the city of Chattanooga, lighting up, the city hall in pride colors. I mean, all of your men shut down Grinder during the RNC. So.
I think the Calvary Chapel Republican Party is problematic. Let's be real honest. The Hamilton County Democratic Republican Republican Party has, as expected, as has gone with the rest of our country, been co-opted by a group of evangelical nationalists,
Talk about it.
white supremacists,
Yes, ma'am.
folks who are feeling really, really scared because the county doesn't look like them anymore.
Come on now.
The school systems don't look like them. And there is fear in being minoritized in a world where they have never had to experience that. And I'm a pastor, and I'm a highly empathetic person, and so I get that. I understand that fear. I understand why they are worried about a lack of power. For any of us that have seen something that we have had for so long taken away, i.e., I was born in 1973, the year that Roe v. Wade was put into effect. I, as a 52-year-old woman, have watched that right be removed from me. It scares the crap out of me. I understand why they are scared, and yet they are, and have historically been, the problem. And therefore, they need to get out of their own way, and they need to understand that the world is changing, and that they can either be a part of it or they can be against it. And being against it is going to continue to force them to be looked at as outcasts. And that's what the Hamilton County Republican Party looks like now. They look like outcasts when it comes to the things that they're complaining about and the way that they're giving Tim Kelly a hard time. I mean, were you frustrated with the fact that that City Hall was lit up in the Chattanooga Mocs colors after the men's basketball team, who are predominantly black, won the NIT conference?
Come on now.
I mean, no, because there was pride in an institution that is continuing to uphold the tenets of white supremacy.
And I'm alone.
Like they see UTC as an extension of them because they are seeing that UTC is not stepping out aggressively with policies that make folks more equal.
Yes.
And so there's a comfort there. Pride triggered them because they know that that is an area of the work in community that people just don't care about anymore. I mean, 80% of the people in the country could give two craps about same-sex wedding.
You're right.
They just don't care.
They don't.
That scares the crap out of them.
Yes, it does.
It scares them so much that there could be a movement that they didn't dictate.
Right.
That is taking hold and that is having.
Yes. Guys, it's taking hold. It's having success. You're losing. You're not winning. So, Gil, anytime you want to come on, what's the 423 podcast? Because I know you're now watching because you're following me on Facebook, so that's great. So yeah, anytime you want to come on, we can have a great time, have a great discussion. We can have a kiki if you want to have a kiki with a guy. Just let me know. Yes, and it will be televised. Yes. So we're talking about city government. We talked about a little bit about county government, and I also ran for office. I ran for county commission, and I was for and still is for the building of the baseball stadium because it is now forcing county commission not only to build a baseball stadium but to fund public schools, and they don't want to do it. And we don't have any strong county commissioners on county commission. David Sharp, I'm talking about you. We don't have any strong county commissioners to really get out there and say, hey, if we can fund this baseball stadium, we can put baseball fields all throughout the county for child youth success. Let's make sure that we put money on the front end in education, so we no longer have to increase the beds at Silverdale.
I think Tennessee as a whole continues to think that things like our lottery will
Mhm.
be what uh, holds up our school systems. And let's not forget that the lottery, just like check cashing places and places that predatory lending institutions prey on those that have less than those that have more. And so, the state is continuing to ask those of us that are not in the top 50% of
Mhm.
income earners to prop up the school system.
Yep.
And it is high time that both our counties and that our state put an emphasis around public education
Yes.
so that
And it traditional.
yes, traditional public education. I mean, you and I were both public school raised,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like I went to public school the entirety of my education. My mother actually went to private school, and but then became a teacher and taught in public school for 30 years.
Whew.
And so,
Hats off to the.
yeah, I know.
Whew. I'm in there.
And algebra and geometry, high school algebra and geometry. Like,
Mom, I'm sorry.
but yeah, I think the commission is seeing the writing on the wall that was always there.
Mhm.
They just refuse to read.
They had their hand. They had their heads in the sand.
Now they're paying for it. They're paying for um, the the challenges. They're hearing from their constituents that they don't understand how the baseball stadium can continue to be funded, but that they don't have money for public schools, and they don't have answers because they were part of the problem. They don't have answers because they capitulated to the desires of the city and the county to build the stadium. And now of course, Mayor Worm's trying to backpedal.
Right.
But
And how can you backpedal?
it's not my problem, it's not my fault.
And you're the mayor. And everything stops at his desk, right? And I just want to remind our listeners and viewers that the county has millions and hundreds of millions of dollars in a rainy day fund. And I'm just going to let you know it's raining in Hamilton County Schools. It's pouring. It's a whole hurricane.
I think it's interesting to me that that Mayor Wong asked the his administration to go through a Doge process by which they identified that and identified excess spending.
But increase the budget for.
And then didn't use those found monies to put those monies towards the things that need it most.
Right.
Like paying the schools.
Yes. Oh my God. We are on the same wavelength so much. Like this is insane. Okay. I am living. I can't even like I saw Weston yesterday and I wanted to yell out the window. Pay us more, Weston. Oh gosh, but I have a great feeling that within this next election cycle, hopefully for people have been paying attention about their schools and their neighborhoods and their families, because the question that we should all be asking ourselves during any time of election, on season or off season, is my life getting better? Am I able to meet the basic necessities without struggle? Am I able to create a future for my children that is better than the present? And if you can't answer all of those questions with yes, then it is time for a change.
And I think we have to be real honest that, funding our schools and caring for our children is not solely the job of the school board, is not solely the job of the county commission, is not solely the job of Chattanooga city government. It's not solely the job of our educators or of the community and parents and even non-parents that live in this area. We all pour into that in more ways than we know. I am childless by choice.
Okay.
I have,
Me too.
my husband and I chose very early on that children was not something we wanted, and have kind of never changed our minds on that. And yet, I'm going to go to bat for every single aspect of funding our public schools because it affects me in every way. Every single way. Just because I don't have kids doesn't mean it's not affecting me. And I think that that's one of the challenges that we're seeing in Chattanooga as we have a lot of young professionals come into the city. They are not paying attention to the things that don't affect them. And if they are childless, or if they are older and retired and have children and grandchildren that live here, it's become something that they're not paying enough attention to.
That's true. That's true. I'll never forget. I was making my phone calls, and a lady said, "Well, why should I help pay into the school system? I don't have any kids." Well, you do go buy things in the city. You work with other people. You expect contractors to come to your home. You want to make sure they know how to measure that stick right. you know.
I mean, our city government should, and our county government should be relying on local talent to fill positions.
Yes.
We should not be bringing that talent in from outside the city and the county simply because we don't have a talent pool to fill those positions.
Or it's not the person that you like. That's a lot of the problem that we see in Hamilton County and in Chattanooga government. It's all about who you know, who's connected, are you liked? And I feel like I shouldn't have to be liked in order to get the job done. If respect goes far more than being liked. So that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And also, I want our pool of talent to be the best.
The best and the brightest.
And the more money we put into our school system, the better educated our children will be.
That's right. And it will